From a flicker of candlelight in 1789 to the glare of modern screens in the West Wing, every president has held the pen. Executive orders not passed by Congress, but etched into law by command. Some shaped history. Some sparked controversy. Others were forgotten. Until now. This is where we break them down. Every signature, every shift in power, every consequence still felt today. From Washington to Biden, welcome to Executive Order Watch.
Democracy, we live for it. For democracy, we fight for it. For democracy, we've died for it. And for democracy, we watch it. This is Executive Order Watch.
2002 was a year of decision. The weight of what had happened on September 11th, the year before, shaped everything I did as president. I was still standing in the shadow of those towers, still hearing the cries of families who had lost loved ones, still feeling the unity of a nation determined not to be struck down again. We were at war, not just a war on a battlefield, but a war against terror, against networks hidden in caves, in cities, in shadows. That year, I made it clear. We would not wait to be attacked again. We would act. My State of the Union address in January introduced the phrase axis of evil. I named North Korea, Iran, and Iraq as regimes that sought weapons of mass destruction and posed a grave threat to global security. I meant every word. Diplomacy would always be tried, but I would not allow America to be vulnerable again. The message was simple. The United States will defend itself, preemptively, if necessary. 2002 was also the year we created the Department of Homeland Security, a historic restructuring of our government, unifying 22 agencies under one roof to protect our homeland. It wasn't easy. Turf wars, bureaucratic walls, and political friction all tried to slow it down. But we did it, because we had to. On the world stage, we strengthened alliances, especially with the United Kingdom under Prime Minister Tony Blair. NATO expanded its mission, and the coalition against terror grew. We fought in Afghanistan, pushing back the Taliban and hunting al-Qaeda. At home, I signed laws that made America safer, including the Homeland Security Act, and continued to press for the Patriot Act to give law enforcement the tools they needed to keep Americans safe. 2002 was also a year of political consolidation. In the midterm elections, my party gained seats in both the House and Senate, something rare for a sitting president during midterms. I took that as a sign. The American people believed in our direction. But with all the strength, all the resolve, we also saw sacrifice. Young men and women deployed, some for the first time in their lives, others never returned. I carried their names in my heart and still do. Every decision I made that year, I made knowing it could cost lives. That weight never left me. I governed that year with clarity, conviction, and a deep sense of duty. I knew history would judge, but I couldn't govern from the rearview mirror. I had to act, boldly, swiftly, and with purpose. Now, before we get into the executive orders of that year, and there were many, I want to remind you, every pen stroke was guided by the belief that freedom must be defended, security must be strengthened, and the American people must never be caught unaware again. We'll get into those orders next. They tell their own story. But 2002, that was the year we built the shield. Executive Order 13,252 Exclusions. From the Federal Labor Management Relations Program on January 7, 2002. Executive Order 13,253 Amendment to Executive Order. 13,223. Ordering the ready reserve of the armed forces to active duty on January 16, 2002 Executive Order, 13,254. Establishing the USA Freedom Corps on January 29, 2002 Executive Order. 13,255 Amendment to Executive Order. 13,227. President's Commission on Excellence in Special Education on February 6, 2002 Executive Order. 13,256 President's Board of Advisors on Historically Black Colleges and Universities on February 12, 2002 Executive Order. 13,257 President's Interagency Task Force to monitor and combat trafficking in persons on February 13, 2002 Executive Order. 13,258 Amending Executive Order. 128,666 on Regulatory Planning and Review on February 26, 2002 Executive Order. 13,259. Designation of public international organizations for purposes of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934 and the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act of 1977 on March 19, 2002. Executive Order 13,260. Establishing the President's Homeland Security Advisory Council and Senior Advisory Committees for Homeland on March 19, 2002 Executive Order. 13,261 Providing an order of succession in the Environmental Protection Agency and amending certain orders on succession on March 19, 2002 Executive Order. 13,262 2002 Amendments to the Manual for Courts Martial, United States on April 11, 2002 Executive Order. 13,263 President's New Freedom Commission on Mental Health on April 29, 2002 Executive Order. 13,264. Amendment to Executive Order. 13,180. Air Traffic Performance-Based Organization on June 4, 2002 Executive Order. 13,265 President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports on June 6, 2002 Executive Order. 13,266 Activities to Promote Personal Fitness on June 20, 2002. Executive Order 13,267. Establishing a Transition Planning Office for the Department of Homeland Security. Within the Office of Management and Budget on June 20th, 2002. Executive Order 13,268 Termination of Emergency. With respect to the Taliban and amendment of Executive Order 13,224 of September 23, 2001 on July 2, 2002 Executive Order 13,269 Expedited Naturalization of Aliens and Non-Citizen Nationals serving in an active duty status during the War on Terrorism on July 3, 2002 Executive Order. 13,270 Tribal Colleges and Universities on July 3, 2002 Executive Order. 13,271 Establishment of the Corporate Fraud Task Force on July 9, 2002 Executive Order. 13,272 Proper consideration of small entities in agency rulemaking on August 13, 2002 Executive Order. 13,273 Further amending Executive Order. 10,173 on safeguarding of vessels, harbors, ports, and waterfront facilities of the United States on August 21, 2002 Executive Order. 13,274 Environmental Stewardship and Transportation Infrastructure Project Reviews on September 18, 2002. Executive Order 13,275 Creating a Board of Inquiry to report on certain labor disputes affecting the maritime industry of the United States on October 7, 2002. Executive Order 13,276 Delegation of Responsibilities concerning undocumented aliens interdicted or intercepted in the Caribbean region on November 15, 2002 Executive Order. 13,277 delegation of certain authorities and assignment of certain functions under the Trade Act of 2002. On November 19, 2002 Executive Order. 13,278 President's Commission on the United States Postal Service. On December 11, 2002 Executive Order. 13,279 Equal Protection of the Laws for faith-based and community organizations on December 12, 2002 Executive Order. 13,280 Responsibilities of the Department of Agriculture and the Agency for International Development. With respect to faith-based and community initiatives on December 12, 2002 Executive Order, 13,281 half-day closing of executive departments and agencies of the federal government on Tuesday, December 24th, 2002 on December 19th. 2002 Executive Order. 13,282 adjustments of certain rates of pay on December 31st, 2002.
Pauline's Pizza.
It was a year
where we
shaped
deliver
by the
happiness one slice at a time. What's your craving today?
Yeah, hi. Is Seymour there?
Oh, Seymour. I think he might be busy making our special pies. But hey, why not swing by the pizzeria? We've got a pie with your name on it. Anything else I can help you with?
I was looking for Seymour Butts.
Ah, I see. Well, if you're looking for Seymour Butts, he might be hiding behind a pepperoni slice. Anything else I can do for you today?
No, that's it.
Hi, I'm Terrence, a marketing professional with a passion for helping your business grow smarter and faster. Here at DaBomb Digital Media, based right here in Atlanta, Georgia, we specialize in bringing your vision to life. Whether you're launching your first website or reimagining your entire digital presence, we've got you covered. From modern website design and search engine optimization to setting up your own AI-powered agency tools, we deliver innovative solutions that keep you ahead of the curve. Ready to unlock your business's full potential? Let's build something remarkable together. For more information, visit our YouTube channel. Just search DaBomb Digital Media on YouTube and start exploring tips, success stories, and everything you need to elevate your brand.
2002.
It was a year shaped by the aftermath of tragedy and the rise of new urgency. America was still reeling from the attacks of September 11th. Fear and unity were colliding in the same breath, and President George W. Bush was steering a nation that had just declared a global war on terror. In times of crisis, presidents often turn to executive orders as tools of urgency, and that year he signed over 30 executive orders. Some were subtle adjustments to the machinery of government. Others restructured national security for an entirely new era. Let's talk about that. Bush's executive orders in 2002 reflected a presidency transitioning from domestic normalcy to perpetual readiness, with orders like 13,260, which created the Homeland Security Advisory Council, and 13,267, establishing a transition team for what would become the Department of Homeland Security. We saw the scaffolding for a new American agency take form. It wasn't just organizational. Executive Order 13,269, granting expedited naturalization to non-citizen service members fighting in the war on terror, was a powerful gesture. It acknowledged sacrifice with opportunity. That mattered to those troops and to the country they were willing to die for. But not all orders came without criticism. Order 13,268, terminating the emergency with respect to the Taliban and modifying the post-9/11 sanctions landscape, stirred debate. Was it too soon? Did it signal strength or ambiguity? The questions still echo. Meanwhile, Executive Order 13,258, which amended Clinton-era regulatory frameworks, signaled a shift in how the Bush administration wanted federal agencies to approach rulemaking. Less bureaucracy, more discretion. That pleased business leaders. But to some advocates, it raised concerns about oversight and environmental safeguards. Faith-based initiatives took center stage as well. With orders 13,279 and 13,280, Bush expanded support for religious organizations in delivering community services. The line between church and state, it got thinner. Supporters called it compassionate. Critics called it unconstitutional. On the labor front, the administration used Executive Order 13,275 to intervene in maritime labor disputes, invoking executive power to avoid disruptions in a vital industry. These kinds of interventions walk a tightrope between protecting the economy and respecting workers' rights. And let's not forget how many of these actions were groundwork, seeds for trees that would grow in future years. Whether it was corporate fraud, small business inclusion, or public health readiness, many of these orders weren't headlines, but they shaped the operating system of the federal government moving forward. Now, were all of them perfect? Did they all help? Not always, but they reflected a presidency trying to act swiftly in a time of national uncertainty. So here's where we're going next. We'll break down the top 10 executive orders of 2002, what they did, how they changed our lives, and whether their impact still lingers in today's America. Because when it comes to executive power, the pen might be swift, but the consequences are often permanent. Let's take a closer look, one order at a time. 2002 was a turning point. America was wounded, alert, and searching for direction. Just months after the attacks of September 11th, the Bush administration took the helm of a nation reshaping its identity and its defenses. That year, President George W. Bush issued dozens of executive orders that would define not just his presidency, but the infrastructure of American governance for the next 2 decades. Some of these orders addressed immediate threats, like 1326-0, which established the Homeland Security Advisory Council, and 1326-7, which laid the groundwork for the eventual Department of Homeland Security. These weren't just organizational flowcharts, they were blueprints for how America would operate in a new world of hidden enemies, digital warfare, and homeland vulnerabilities. That restructuring still affects us today. Every airport screening, cyber alert, and emergency response plan has roots in those decisions. Bush also expanded faith-based initiatives with Executive Orders 13,279 and 13,280, bringing religious organizations deeper into the delivery of public services. It sparked a cultural debate about where the line between church and state ought to be. 2 decades later, we're still arguing about it in our courts, in our schools, and in our public institutions. In Executive Order 13,269, President Bush offered expedited naturalization for immigrants serving in the armed forces during the War on Terror. It was a moment of moral clarity. If you were willing to die for this country, you earned the right to call it your home. That policy became a model for similar immigration military reforms in the years that followed. But 2002 wasn't just about security. It was also about corporate trust. After the Enron scandal rocked Wall Street and decimated pensions, Executive Order 1327-1 established the Corporate Fraud Task Force. That order was the administration's attempt to restore confidence in capitalism, and it laid the foundation for the financial regulations that came years later. Some of Bush's executive actions sought to increase efficiency in federal rulemaking, like EO 13258, which altered how regulations were vetted. That order shifted power internally, subtly strengthening executive oversight over agency rules. To this day, the way the federal government balances expert agency advice with White House review traces back to changes made in that year. Now let's put that in context. Major events. In 2002, global, the war in Afghanistan expanded, with NATO allies joining in and U.S. Special Forces striking deep into Taliban territory. International tensions rose as President Bush coined the term axis of evil, naming Iraq, Iran, and North Korea, laying the rhetorical groundwork for the Iraq War. The euro currency entered circulation across 12 European countries, marking a new chapter in global finance. America only. The Beltway sniper attacks terrified the Washington, D.C. area. Enron executives were indicted, shaking trust in corporate America. The Department of Homeland Security was created through congressional legislation, echoing the priorities in Bush's executive orders. The No Child Left Behind Act was implemented, reshaping education policy nationwide. Through all this, Bush's executive orders were not background noise. They were tools, strategic instruments meant to react, rebuild, and redefine the federal government in real time. And whether you agreed with the vision or not, one thing is clear. The 2002 orders still cast a long shadow. We feel their influence in how we screen passengers at airports, in how we define national threats, in how we blend religion with policy, and how we define the role of the presidency itself. So here's what we're going to do next. We'll go deep into the top 10 executive orders of 2002. We'll break them down one by one so you can see exactly how they worked, what they changed, and why they still matter. Because democracy isn't just shaped by elections or speeches. It's shaped by the fine print. Let's get into it. Here are the top 10 executive orders of 2002 under President George W. Bush, ranked and evaluated in great detail based on their immediate impact, historical relevance, and ongoing influence in American governance. Number 1 Executive Order, 13260, establishing the President's Homeland Security Advisory Council and Senior Advisory Committees for Homeland, signed March 19, 2002. Overview. This was the bedrock order that formalized the federal government's internal effort to coordinate homeland security. It created a Presidential Advisory Council to recommend strategies, improve communication between federal and state agencies, and prepare the government for future national threats. Impact in 2002. It centralized decision-making at a time when fragmented agency response had cost lives the year before. This EO began aligning intelligence, law enforcement, and emergency management under a unified doctrine. Lasting effect. It was a precursor to the Homeland Security Act and the Department of Homeland Security itself. Its legacy is felt every time federal, state, and local entities coordinate during a crisis, be it terrorism, natural disaster, or pandemic. Number 2, Executive Order 13,269, expedited naturalization of aliens and non-citizen nationals serving in active duty during the War on Terrorism, signed July 3, 2002. Overview. This EO granted expedited citizenship processing to immigrants serving in the U.S. military in the post-September 11th era. It recognized that those willing to risk their lives for the country shouldn't wait years for a passport. Impact in 2002. Morale booster and recruiting tool during the initial wave of the War on Terror. It also strengthened America's moral standing by honoring service before citizenship. Lasting effect. Set a precedent used in Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts. It has since become a legal basis for other similar immigration reforms tied to military service. Number 3 Executive Order 13,271, establishment of the Corporate Fraud Task Force, signed July 9, 2002. Overview. Created in direct response to the Enron and WorldCom scandals, this EO formed a multi-agency task force to investigate and prosecute financial crimes. Impact in 2002. Restored some public faith in the free market after corporate giants collapsed and workers lost pensions. Sent a clear message that the White House would take white-collar crime seriously. Lasting effect. Led to major convictions and set the stage for Sarbanes-Oxley legislation. Influences the DOJ's corporate fraud strategies to this day. Number 4, Executive Order 13,267, establishing a Transition Planning Office for the Department of Homeland Security. Signed June 20th, 2002. Overview. Created a planning unit inside the Office of Management and Budget to prepare for the largest federal reorganization since World War II, the birth of the Department of Homeland Security. Impact in 2002. Showed administrative foresight. Instead of waiting for Congress, Bush began building the skeleton of DHS with executive action. Lasting effect. Critical in ensuring DHS launched with operational capability when Congress authorized it later that year. Without this EO, the transition might have been chaotic. Number 5, Executive Order 1327-9, equal protection of the laws for faith-based and community organizations, signed December 12, 2002. Overview. Allowed religious organizations to compete on equal footing with secular nonprofits for federal funding and social programs, provided they didn't use federal money to promote religion. Impact in 2002. Advanced Bush's compassionate conservatism. Opened floodgates for church-run addiction programs, shelters, and community services to receive government funds. Lasting effect. Still debated today. Supporters say it empowered effective grassroots service providers. Critics say it eroded the wall between church and state. Number 6, Executive Order 13,274, Environmental Stewardship and Transportation Infrastructure Project Reviews, signed September 18, 2002. Overview. streamlined environmental reviews for major transportation projects intended to accelerate infrastructure without sacrificing oversight. Impact in 2002 helped launch highway and bridge projects more quickly post 9/11, seen as part of economic stimulus efforts. Lasting effect laid groundwork for later deregulatory efforts in transportation under both Republican and Democratic administrations. Number 7. Executive Order 13,258, amending Executive Order 12,866 on regulatory planning and review, signed February 26, 2002. Overview: shifted regulatory review power from the Vice President to the President's staff, centralizing White House control over federal rulemaking. Impact in 2002 tightened executive grip on policy output. Agencies had less independence, and the Bush administration could enforce its agenda more directly. Lasting effect: this rebalancing of regulatory power influenced how future presidents, especially Obama and Trump, used the OMB to shape domestic policy. Number 8. Executive Order 13,260, providing an order of succession in the Environmental Protection Agency, signed March 19, 2002. Overview: revised the order of succession in the EPA to ensure continuity of government in case of crisis, an important yet quiet change post 9/11. Impact in 2002, though technical, it was essential for national security, protected regulatory stability in case of attacks or emergency vacancies. Lasting effect: served as a model for succession planning in other agencies. Number 9. Executive Order 13,254, establishing the USA Freedom Corps, signed January 29, 2002. Overview: created a White House office to promote volunteerism, citizen service, and civic engagement in response to the unifying spirit after September 11th. Impact in 2002: encouraged national service and helped scale programs like AmeriCorps and Senior Corps. Lasting effect: while the office was eventually dissolved, it inspired a culture of post-9/11 civic duty that influenced future service initiatives. Number 10. Executive Order 13,256, President's Board of Advisors on Historically Black Colleges and Universities, HBCUs, signed February 12, 2002. Overview: reaffirmed and strengthened federal support for HBCUs, ensuring they remained a national priority in education and funding. Impact in 2002: expanded outreach and collaboration between HBCUs and federal agencies. Lasting effect: contributed to ongoing federal investment in HBCUs, with future presidents continuing the legacy. Conclusion: transition to reflection. These 10 executive orders didn't just address problems of 2002, they reshaped the foundations of how government functions today. From national security to corporate responsibility, from faith-based initiatives to civic volunteerism, they offer a snapshot of an administration navigating crisis with urgency, ideology, and executive power. Some were bold, some were quiet, but each one etched a line into the ledger of American history.
Some write history with blood, some with laws, but the sharpest stroke comes from the pen. Executive power ain't just a tool, it's a weapon wielded by the few, affecting the many. They sign it, we live it. They order it, we obey it. Here, watching, digging, remembering, from the plantation to the proclamation, from internment camps to civil rights stands, from surveillance laws to student loan draws. Order can change your life, and you might not even know it, but now you do. So stay locked in, stay woke, stay sharp. We ain't just talking about power, we tracking it. Executive Order Watch, and we ain't blinking.